Hi everyone! Today we're diving into initiatives and referendums in Arizona, two powerful tools that let citizens directly shape their state's laws. Let's explore these concepts in detail. What are initiatives and what are referendums? Initiatives. This process allows citizens to propose new laws or constitutional amendments. By gathering a required number of signatures from registered voters, these proposals can be placed directly on the ballot for public decision. This means that if you have an idea to improve a state law, you can take action to see it implemented. Referendum. This process enables voters to approve or reject laws or parts of laws enacted by the legislature. By collecting sufficient signatures, citizens can bring these legislative acts before the electorate for approval or repeal. Essentially, if the legislature passes a law that doesn't sit well with the public, there's a mechanism to challenge it. How do initiatives and referendums work? Starting with initiatives, or creating a new law. Drafting the proposal, that's number one. Citizens draft the proposed statute or constitutional amendment. This involves clearly outlining the changes or additions they wish to see in the law. Then, filing with the Secretary of State. The proposal is filed with the Arizona Secretary of State to ensure it meets all legal requirements. Next, signature collection. Proponents must gather signatures from registered voters. They need 10% of votes cast in the last gubernatorial election for statutory changes, or 15% for constitutional amendments. For example, if 2 million votes were cast in the last governor's election, 200,000 signatures would be needed for a statutory change. Finally, submission and verification. Once the required signatures are collected, they're submitted for verification. If validated, the measure is placed on the ballot for voter consideration in the next election. Now, referendums, which is challenging an existing law. First, you need to file a petition. Citizens who oppose a law passed by legislature can file a petition within 90 days of the law's enactment. Signature collection is next. They must gather signatures from registered voters equal to at least 5% of the votes cast in the last gubernatorial election. Continuing our example, this would be 100,000 out of 2 million. Submission and suspension. Upon successful validation of these signatures, the law is suspended and placed on the ballot for voters to either uphold or repeal. In case it's not already clear what is the difference between initiatives and referendums, I'm going to just go over it in a bit more detail. Initiatives initiated by citizens propose a new legislation or constitutional amendments. It's a proactive approach to lawmaking. Referendums, on the other hand, allow citizens to approve or reject existing laws passed by the legislature. It's a reactive measure to legislative actions. There's pros and cons. Pros, direct participation in government. Both processes empower citizens to have a direct role in lawmaking, ensuring that the government reflects the will of the people. This direct involvement can lead to increased civic engagement and a stronger democracy. It keeps checks on legislature. They serve as a check on legislative power, allowing voters to override decisions that may not align with public interest. This ensures that elected officials remain accountable to their constituents. Just like anything else that has positives, there are some negatives. Cons. Complexity. Initiatives and referendums can involve intricate legal language, making it challenging for the average voter to fully understand the implications. This complexity can lead to misinformation or confusion among the electorate. Another con, influence of special interests. Well-funded groups may dominate the process, potentially overshadowing grassroots efforts and leading to outcomes that favor specific interests over the general public. And this can itself undermine the democratic intent of these processes. The Arizona Constitution explicitly reserves the power of initiative and referendum to the people, embodying the principles of direct democracy. These processes allow citizens to directly shape their laws and government actions, ensuring that the electorate has a hands-on role in the state's legislative affairs. To illustrate, let's consider hypothetical scenarios. For an initiative, suppose a group of citizens believes that environmental conservation laws need strengthening. They draft a proposal for stricter regulations, gather the necessary signatures, and successfully place it on the ballot. Voters then have the opportunity to decide on the proposed changes. Here's a referendum example. Imagine the legislature passes a law that increases taxes on certain goods. A segment of the population feels this is unfair and gathers signatures to challenge the law. The law is then put on hold and placed on the ballot for public vote. Initiatives and referendums are tools that facilitate direct citizen involvement in governance, reinforcing Arizona's commitment to a government that is truly by the people and for the people. They ensure that the voices of the citizens are heard and that the state's laws reflect the collective will of its residents. So next time you see an initiative or referendum on the ballot, you'll know that it's an opportunity for you to directly influence the laws governing Arizona. Thank you all very much for listening, and happy voting.